I know what you're going to say. It's obvious he was cheating. But I had no proof. Until now. Adrian always had a story, an alibi, some piece of evidence that made me feel like I was the crazy one. Every time I questioned him, he had a text, a receipt, a friend to back him up, and I'd end up apologizing, wondering if I was paranoid. But this time, he couldn't lie. Not with what I found. For the sake of this story, you can call me Rachel. And the man I thought I loved, the man I thought I'd build a life with, you can call him Adrian. It started on a random Saturday. I had borrowed Adrian's car to run errands because mine was in the shop. After a grocery run, I decided to be nice. Something simple, something thoughtful. I pulled into a car wash and started cleaning out his car. I remember thinking how messy he was, how his passenger seat was always cluttered with receipts and empty bottles. I figured I'd surprise him, make it spotless. That's when I saw it. Wedged halfway under the passenger seat, like it had slipped out of a bag and gotten stuck, was something lacy. Red. I pulled it out and my stomach dropped. A G-string. Tiny, delicate, undeniably not mine. For a second, my brain short-circuited. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe Chloe, my best friend, had left it there somehow. But no. Chloe hadn't been in Adrian's car in months. Maybe it was old, from before we met. But we'd been together over a year. Why would something like this still be sitting there? I sat frozen in the driver's seat, staring at it in my hands. It didn't feel real, like I'd stumbled into someone else's life. My heart was pounding, my palms slick, but I couldn't let go of it. That strip of lace felt heavier than any stone. My mind raced with excuses. Maybe it was from his sister, maybe laundry got mixed up, maybe it wasn't even his. But even as I tried to rationalize it, I felt the truth pressing in on me. Because deep down, I knew. That red G-string was never mine. And it was the beginning of the end. For the sake of this story, you can call me Rachel. And if you've ever loved someone who made you doubt your own instincts, maybe you'll understand how I got here. I wasn't naive. Not anymore, at least. I'd been through heartbreak before. Men who promised me forever and disappeared within months. One who cheated so casually, it was almost like he wanted me to catch him. Another who strung me along for years, always almost ready to commit, but never actually following through. After enough bruises, I told myself I'd be different next time. Careful, guarded, smarter. Then Adrian came along. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't loud, but that was exactly why I let my guard down. He was steady, charming without trying too hard. The kind of man who looked you in the eye and made you feel like you were the only one in the room. He remembered the small things, like how I take my coffee or which song I always skipped on the radio. My family loved him. My mom said he was refreshing. My dad respected how hardworking he seemed. It felt like, finally, I had chosen right. And then there was Jenna. She came into the picture early on, introduced vaguely as a friend of a friend. She was around enough that I got used to seeing her, at group dinners, at parties, sometimes just hanging around when Adrian and I were out. She was loud, confident, and maybe a little too familiar with him, but I brushed it off. I told myself she was harmless, that if Adrian really loved me, and he acted like he did, there was nothing to worry about. Looking back, the red flags were there. The late-night work calls, the sudden excuses when plans changed, the way he always had a perfectly packaged explanation for every inconsistency. And I wanted so badly to believe him that I did. Over and over again. That's the thing about hope. It can blind you. It can make you choose the story that feels safe, even when the truth is clawing at your door. So, when I found the G-string in his car, it wasn't just betrayal. It was proof I'd been ignoring the truth all along. When I handed Adrian back his car keys that evening, I told myself I'd bring it up casually. No accusations, no anger, just a question. I wanted to see his face when I asked. We were sitting on his couch, takeout containers spread across the coffee table. I tried to keep my voice light. "Hey, so I found something weird in your car today." He barely looked up from his noodles. "Yeah? What was it?" I swallowed. "A red G-string, under the passenger seat." The pause was so small most people would have missed it, but I saw it. The flicker in his eyes before he smirked and let out a laugh. "Oh, that? It's probably Chloe's. Didn't she ride with us a few weeks ago? She's always messing around. Could have been a joke. I blinked. Chloe? My best friend? Are you serious? He shrugged, still grinning. Or maybe it's old. From before we were even together. You know I had a life before you, right? You're really going to lose your mind over some underwear under a car seat? The way he said it, so dismissive, so confident, made me feel small, like I was ridiculous for even bringing it up. I pressed him again, and that's when his tone shifted. His voice dropped, sharp. Rachel, you're being paranoid. Do you hear yourself? You're trying to ruin dinner over something that means nothing. You need to stop looking for problems where there aren't any. And for a second, I almost believed him. That's what he was good at, twisting things until I doubted myself more than I doubted him. But later that night, while he showered, my gut screamed at me. I picked up his phone. My hands shook as I swiped through, praying I wouldn't find anything. I did. Her name was saved as Mia. The texts weren't subtle, flirty messages, late-night check-ins, plans to meet. Photos, nothing explicit, but intimate in a way that stabbed me right through the chest. Things he'd said to me, copied and pasted to her. I sat there in the dim glow of his phone screen, my stomach churning, my heart breaking in real time. The red G-string wasn't random. It had a name, and that name was Mia. The next few days were a blur of contradictions. I couldn't stop thinking about Mia's name lighting up his phone, but when I confronted Adrian again, he turned it around so smoothly, it almost made me doubt my own memory. Why are you trying to ruin this, Rachel? He asked, voice low, steady. You go snooping through my phone, then twist innocent messages into some big affair. Don't you trust me? Haven't I proven myself to you by now? And I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him, because believing him was easier than accepting the alternative. That the man I thought I loved was lying straight to my face. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw that red lace in my hand. I saw Mia spelt out across the top of his screen, and the doubt gnawed at me, hollowing me out from the inside. I confided in Chloe, my best friend, because I didn't know where else to turn. She frowned when I told her. Rachel, I love you, but you can't ignore this. You've had a gut feeling about him before, haven't you? Maybe this is your proof. But other voices weren't so kind. One cousin I vented to said I was overreacting. Men text other women, big deal. Doesn't mean anything. Even my mom, trying to comfort me, sighed and said, don't throw away something good over paranoia. Sometimes we see what we want to see. So, which was it? Was I paranoid, or was I finally seeing clearly for the first time? I started doubting myself. What if Mia was just some story he spun to make me jealous, to test me, I don't know. What if the G-string had been nothing after all? My own thoughts twisted like barbed wire, cutting me at every turn. And that was the worst part, not knowing. The shame of feeling crazy, the ache of being unsure. Adrian moved through our days like nothing was wrong, calm, affectionate, even laughing with me, while inside I felt like I was unraveling. But beneath the shame, something harder formed. Determination. If he thought he could gaslight me into silence, he didn't know me at all, because I wasn't done digging. The more I tried to push the thoughts away, the louder they screamed. I started replaying our entire relationship like a film on loop, except this time, I saw the scenes differently. All those late-night work trips he swore were unavoidable, they didn't look like dedication anymore. They looked like cover stories. The weekends he went camping with the guys, but never came back with so much as a mosquito bite, suddenly suspicious. The times he'd cancel our plans at the last second with a vague excuse, then show up the next day extra affectionate, like he was overcompensating for something. And then there was Mia. The memory stung sharper now. She was always nearby. At birthdays, she was the one laughing just a little too hard at his jokes. At barbecues, she always seemed to slide into the seat beside him before I could. Even at casual get-togethers, she found a way to be there. The times he'd cancel our plans at the last second with a vague excuse, then show up the next day extra affectionate, like he was overcompensating for something. And then there was Mia. The memory stung sharper now. She was always nearby. At birthdays, she was the one laughing just a little too hard at his jokes. At barbecues, she always seemed to slide into the seat beside him before I could. Even at casual get-togethers, she found a way to be there. I thought she was just clingy, maybe harmless. But now I saw the truth. She wasn't orbiting me. She was orbiting him. The pieces began clicking together in a way I couldn't ignore. It wasn't paranoia, it was a pattern. And then came the proof that ripped away the last of my denial. I was cleaning out Adrian's car again, this time not out of kindness, but out of a gnawing desperation to find something, anything that could confirm what I already knew in my gut. I checked every compartment, every pocket, every corner, and in the glove box, tucked beneath old receipts and fast food napkins, I found them. Receipts. Not one. Not two. A stack of them. A lingerie store purchase, dated the same weekend he claimed to be too busy to take me out. A hotel stay, 2 nights, 2 guests, dated during one of his supposed overnight projects. Dinner receipts from restaurants he never took me to, all neatly signed with his name. I held them in my hand, my chest tightening with every line of print. The dates matched up perfectly with his lies. Every missing weekend, every canceled plan, every time I'd sat at home waiting for his call. He hadn't just cheated, he hadn't even tried to hide it well. And that was the gut punch. Adrian didn't care if I eventually found out. He didn't respect me enough to cover his tracks, to even bother pretending beyond the bare minimum. The G-string was never an accident. It was evidence, and now I had all the proof I needed. By the time I gathered the receipts, I knew screaming or accusing wouldn't be enough. Adrian was too smooth, too good at flipping the story back on me. If I wanted the truth, I had to corner him where he couldn't run. So I set a trap. I invited him over to my apartment one evening. No warning, no tone of accusation, just a casual, "We need to talk." Default text, I laid the receipts out on the table before he arrived. Every piece of paper lined up like evidence in a trial. My heart pounded, but I kept my face calm. When he walked in, his usual confidence faltered for the first time. He saw the papers, the hotel logos, the dates circled in red ink. I didn't say a word. I just looked at him. He tried to bluff at first. "Rachel, come on. You really went through my car? This is insane." I slid one of the hotel receipts toward him. 2 guests, signed in with your name. Was that insane too? His jaw tightened. He opened his mouth, closed it, then finally sank into the chair across from me. The performance dropped. "I didn't want to choose," he muttered, staring at the floor. "I love you, Rachel. But I love her too. I didn't want to lose either of you." The words were supposed to sound heartfelt, but they landed like poison. I leaned forward, my voice steady. "Love doesn't come with receipts, Adrian. Love doesn't need hotel rooms and lingerie bags hidden in glove boxes." He flinched, but before he could answer, there was a knock on the door. Adrian stiffened. I stood, opened it, and there she was. Mia. Her face was pale, but her eyes burned with the same mix of rage and humiliation I felt. Because I had called her earlier, shaking as I laid out everything I'd found, and she hadn't denied it. She wanted the truth, too. "Rachel," she said softly, then turned her glare on Adrian. "So, this is how you've been playing us both." Adrian shot up from his chair. "What the hell is this?" he barked, panic finally cracking through his voice. "You two don't understand. It wasn't supposed to..." But neither of us let him finish. Mia pulled her phone out, scrolling to the same flirty texts I'd seen before, holding them up between us. "He told me he was leaving you. He told me I was the one." I laughed bitterly. "Funny. He told me the same thing about you." The room went silent, except for the weight of his lies collapsing all around him. In that moment, I realized I hadn't been paranoid. I hadn't been crazy. I had been living in his double life without knowing it. And now, he was finally exposed. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the receipts at him or beg him to pick me over her. I just gathered my things, slipped on my jacket, and walked past him. Adrian called after me, his voice cracking between excuses and apologies. But I didn't look back. Because the truth was, I didn't need any more words from him. I had all the proof I'd ever need. I left quietly, and that silence was louder than any fight could have been. Later, when the adrenaline wore off and I sat alone in my car, the tears came. Not because I'd lost Adrian, but because I'd lost something much heavier. My trust in myself. For so long, he had made me question my own reality. He'd spun lies so convincingly that I started to doubt my instincts, doubt the knot in my stomach, doubt the voice that whispered, "Something isn't right." That was the real betrayal. Not just the cheating, but the way he made me feel like I was crazy for even suspecting it. It took a red G-string to remind me I wasn't. And here's what I know now. If someone hides you, it's not love. It's strategy. He didn't just cheat. He left the evidence under his own seat because he never thought I'd have the courage to leave. That red G-string was never mine, but the choice to walk away was. And I chose it. So no, I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't dramatic. I wasn't crazy. I was right. And that was the last time I ever let anyone convince me otherwise. That was the last time I let anyone convince me I was crazy for seeing the truth.